I wanted to start a new little series. I am working again. I am a Instacart shopper, which is basically like any food delivery service, but instead of me going to like get fast food or to a restaurant, I strictly go to grocery stores and I do like the order. And so like instead of, especially during this time in which this epidemic is going on, people don't really want to leave their house. And normally in bigger cities, when I was living in Kansas especially, is when I started this, and it was up and popping long before any of this stuff was happening. So people will place their grocery orders, I'll shop it, and I'll deliver it to them. They either have an option for me to put it like right inside their house, like their door, so they don't really have to carry it, or I can leave it at the door, depending on what the customer is doing, because a lot of things now are like no contact. So this story literally just happened. I have calmed down. I was literally shaking and fuming, and I started crying because I was just so frustrated and upset. So what I kind of want to do is kind of share some stories that happened to me as I am working. So I have been living in Utah now for 2 weeks today, and it's gonna take me time to get used to the town anyways, but I'm actually a little farther than where I have been doing Instacart because I found someone to watch the dogs, and with all dog daycares being closed, I had to travel a bit further to find a lady who kind of fit what we needed for the dogs so that they could, you know, be happy and comfortable while I'm working all the time. I don't leave them at home because they're just too anxious of dogs and they don't do well by themselves. Sorry if this is crooked, the angle's awful, but this little like thing that my phone was supposed to sit on, I bought when I had an iPhone 10, and so my iPhone 10 is obviously smaller than my 11 Pro Max, so that's why it's fitting weird. Anyways, so I just had a Costco order, and you know, no problems, shopped it. This was actually a new customer. It tells you like how many times they've shopped with Instacart, how many deliveries they've like requested, and this was their first time. And this story is not about my actual customer because they were super nice, super chill. Like, I have no complaints with them whatsoever. So a lot of places, there's apartments like everywhere. And so I've delivered to apartments before, zero problems, right? Sorry if you hear like my blinkers and cars and stuff. Like, I'm doing the best I can, and I wanted to record this story while it's like hot, fresh in my mind, and all that fun stuff. I am literally pulled up to this person's apartment, and I park in the first available spot that I see because I want to get in, get out, continue on. I was supposed to check in with my like dog lady to make sure that the dogs were doing okay and like we're good to be there for the rest of the day, because we had a bad incident earlier in the week with a lady who it just didn't mesh, and that's why I was willing to drive a little bit farther to find like someone that the dogs would be able to like get along with and everything. So I park in the first available spot that I see, and I put on my hazard lights because I've seen other people do that, and I feel like that's kind of a good thing to let them know, like, hey, if I'm parked here, like, I'm not going to be here long, I'm really sorry for the inconvenience, so on and so forth. I literally get out of my car. I keep everything in the back seat just because it's easier to get to, and I have a bunch of crap in my trunk. And so I go to open the back door to start grabbing stuff out, and I have this lady approach me. She's like, that's my spot. And I said, I'm so sorry. Like, I will be gone within 5 minutes. Like, I won't be here long at all. And she's like, I'm handicapped, and I've had people park in the handicap spot before and take my spot, and I have nowhere to park. I'm like, I'm so sorry, would you like me to move? And she's like, you're in my spot. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm just doing my job. I'm delivering these groceries. I won't be long. Like, I promise. I'm like, you know, I'm really sorry for the inconvenience. And she just kept going on and on. So finally I'm like, and I go, ma'am, I'm new to this area. I normally don't deliver around here. She's like, well, you're going to keep delivering to these people, aren't you? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's all about if they want to order something or whatever. And so she just wouldn't stop. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. And so she goes into her apartment, which of course, you know, is like right next to my customers. And I give the customers a bunch of stuff. And then I go back out to my car. And I didn't see this lady take a picture of my license plate or my car or anything. But, you know, who knows? I don't think she did. She might have when I wasn't looking, whatever. And I go, and she started going at me again. And I look at her car. She doesn't have a handicap sticker or license plate or thing hanging, nothing. But, you know, not my business, and I don't care, and I don't want to argue. And I told her that. I said, ma'am, I don't want to argue. I just want to finish my delivery, and I'll be gone. Like, she kept coming towards my car, too. And, like, if she is handicapped, then the handicap spot is closer to her apartment than where I was parked. I understand that is her parking spot, and I offered multiple times to move my car. I told her I was going to be leaving very shortly, and I offered to leave immediately, and just, you know, I'd be parked in the middle of the street for all I care, just so I can get myself in and out. She will not stop, and it keeps coming at me. I go, ma'am, I said, I have to work so that I can pay my bills. And she goes, I have to supply for my family too. I said, okay. I said, like, I will be gone very quickly, but you're prolonging this. I said, just let me do this. Like, just stop. And she refuses to get out of my way. She's just standing right in front of me, and like, I have to get this order finished. A million other things going on to deal with. I have to finish working. I have to check in on the dogs, and possibly if this lady didn't mesh well with the dogs, I have to go get the dogs. So like, her doing all that was just too much, and she would not get out of my face. And then she kept screaming social distancing at me. And I go, ma'am, you were the one refusing to move. You were the one getting in my face. I said, if you just let me finish this order, I will be gone, and you will never have to see me again. And again, she just would not stop, wanted to scream and speak over me. So finally, I break, and I go, fuck off. That's it. Don't call her name. I don't threaten her. I don't come at her. She starts chasing after me, and she's right behind me. Like, I can feel her about touching me. So first of all, so much for your social distancing when you won't even leave me alone. So that's your fault. And I said, if you touch me, I will call the cops. And she goes, I want you to call the cops. And I said, for what? I said, I'm going to be out of your spot, and I offered to move my car that second. Like, I offered to move it if it's that big of a deal. Like, I'm totally fine with it. Not, like, I don't care. Would not stop. And I go to the customers, and I'm already shaking at this point, and I have one more load of groceries to bring to the customers. And they're like, oh my God, are you okay? What's going on? I said, this lady's just awful and nasty, and she won't leave me alone. Because I'm not gonna, you know, be unprofessional with customers. And this had nothing to do with them. And they, like I said, they were so nice and kind, like, everything. And so, like, yeah, this lady just wouldn't stop. And so I go back to my car for my last load, and she's still just right there. And like, it was just, I got to the car and I'm already shaking, and my voice is already starting to shake, and I can tell, like, I'm gonna fucking have a breakdown. And this lady called me names. She called me bitch at one point, and she told me to fuck off and fuck you, and she was spewing all sorts of stuff. She just did not know when to stop. And like, I get it, there's a lot, and I told her, I said, ma'am, there is so much going on in the world right now. I said, just stop. Like, quit. I don't want to argue with you. I really, really don't. I want to do my job. you know, I finally get gone and I call Johnny because every time something happens, I just need to vent it out. And so the minute I get on the phone with him, I lose it. Like, I just start bawling and I'm getting choked up now just because I'm just so frustrated. Like, why? Why do you need to take time out of your day to just be nasty for no reason? I started so calm and so polite. I was gonna move my car right then and there. I told her it wouldn't take me more than a couple minutes if she didn't want me to move my car that second. Like, I offered. And she's like, you know, I pay $100 a month for this parking spot. I'm like, okay, I will move. And she just wasn't taking that as an answer. And my customer's like, that's not even her parking spot. I'm like, well, she said she pays $100 a month and it's her spot. And the customer's like, yeah, I don't think so. Which, whatever, you know, customers lie about stupid crap all the time. In my vlog when I first moved here, the lady that towed Johnny's car, like, she lied to me straight to my face also about, like, what time she got home and when she towed her car and all that stupid crap. And honestly, like, it's just so frustrating. And I don't... So, when I first started doing Instacart, I quite enjoyed my job. Like, I was making bank, I was back-to-back, I had, you know, pretty good customers for the most part, like, everything was so smooth. But with all this going on, like, it's just an added load because, you know, either a customer's items aren't in stock, or, you know, they want a refund, or they're not satisfied with this, or not satisfied with that. Or I had one lady who forgot to delete items from her last order, and so I went to, like, check out, and she had items that she had just gotten a couple days ago and she didn't want, and, like, I was nice and I removed them and refunded her and all that stuff, and she still, like, didn't tip me and was just rude and told me I was driving her nuts, which, whatever, like, I just let it go. Unless a customer is going to be super disgusting and nasty to me, I won't snap, because I'm not going to have orders taken away from me, because I mean, given we might not be able to do anything for this summer because, you know, concerts are canceled, conventions are canceled, flights and trips and bars and restaurants and everything else are all, you know, everything's up in the air right now. But, you know, I want to start working again. I want to get out of the house. I want a little bit of time away from the dogs as much as I love them. And, you know, it's just a lot. And so, like, that added stress really is just unnecessary. And, like, why be nasty? Like, if she would have came at me and said, hey, that's my spot, can you please move? Absolutely. No problems, no questions asked. We wouldn't even have to say another word to each other. I don't even need to thank you for getting out of your spot because it was your spot to begin with. Like, that's fine. But, you know, she wanted to just keep on, and, like, you know, I tried so hard not to snap, but when she's in my face just screaming social distancing at me, when she, like, when she came into my face, came into my space, I don't know if she's that bored and really had nothing else to do, or if she had a bad day and wanted to take some aggression out, or whatever the case may be, but just stop. Be respectful to others. That's today's story.